Hey, if you haven't joined our Patreon yet, would you mind giving it your prayerful consideration? Patreon is a way you can support the Trinity Joppa YouTube channel. We've got multiple tiers to choose from, starting as low as $2 per month. Visit www.patreon.com/TrinityJoppa for all the details. Thank you. God bless.
In your word we will follow.
Hello and welcome to Trinity Talk Live, water cooler conversation from a Christian perspective. I am Ken Coughlin, and thanks to our illustrious guests here, especially some of those sitting here in the front row, we have the biggest episode as far as number of guests I think we've ever had. This took some creative ingenuity, but I want to thank Tom and Jan. I want to thank Bill. You guys helping coordinate all of this episode is really, really special, and it's very important, and I think it's going to be a blessing that we have so many people here. So what are we talking about today? Today we are talking about support ministries. In other words, types of ministries that the church can perform to help support people in various different types of needs. And we'll flesh that out a little bit more as we work through here, because we've got a couple different support ministries represented up here on our panel. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask really quickly, because we got a whole bunch of people up here, for everybody to give the quickest introduction you've ever gave, because the show's only supposed to be about 20-25 minutes long. So starting here to my right, who are you?
My name is Bill Rehrig, and I'm director of Stephen Ministry here at Trinity.
I'm Brenda Consorto. I'm a co-director here with Bill at Trinity.
Hi, I'm Jan McMillen, leader of Heart Ministry.
Tom Reed, leader of Heart Ministry.
And I'm Sandy Mahan. I am a Stephen Ministry here at Trinity Lutheran.
I'm Walt Smith. I'm also a Stephen Minister here at Trinity Lutheran.
And I'm Jane Smith, also a Stephen Minister.
I'm Barry Jesser, and I've been a Stephen Minister for about 9 months.
I'm Tony Rehrig, and I've been a Stephen Minister for 25 years.
I'm Phyllis King, I'm Stephen Minister here at Trinity.
John Warren, Stephen Minister at Trinity.
Thank you, everybody. We had I noticed a recurring theme there. A lot of people said Stephen Ministers, and you all said something about directors, so I'm assuming you know what that is, right?
Yes.
That was the easiest question I'm going to ask you guys all day, okay? I'd hope so, otherwise get off the set.
I am shocked that you asked an easy question.
Oh, just wait.
Stephen Ministry is a ministry where we train ordinary Christians to go help people with various kinds of challenges that their lives present to them, so that they aren't alone in their travel through their situation.
Like what kind of situation? What kind of problems does Stephen Ministers help out with, Brenda?
So we'll get involved with anything somebody really needs a Christian person to walk through them with. So it could be a health-related issue. There could be somebody that's dealing with some type of employment situation, mental health, certain mental health situations. We just work to be with members of our congregation, or really anybody that needs our support, to be involved with them, meet with them weekly, support them in any way we can. Most importantly, we pray with them, possibly read through some Bible scriptures, bring them daily devotionals, however we can help them in their Christian walk.
And this isn't just something that's limited to Trinity here, right? This is Stephen Ministries, is it nationwide?
Yes, it's about 35 years old. It was developed by a pastor in St. Louis, and it's now international.
So you're walking alongside people with health issues, emotional issues, spiritual issues, things of that nature? Is that kind of all-encompass all of that?
And grief as well.
Matter of fact, you were on the episode here a few months ago. We did an episode on, was it on, I can't remember, it was on depression or grief? What
it was on grief.
Okay,
yes.
That's what I thought. I remember one thing I think we talked about last time you were on, if I recall correctly, is people hear this, and I know there's probably a lot of churches out there that already are doing Stephen Ministries. There are some that aren't. And one of the biggest questions I think people face is fear of getting involved in a ministry like this, because they're like, I don't know how to talk to people. I don't know, what I would even do in that situation. So first of all, as far as people that in order to become Stephen Ministers, what steps are there in that process?
Really, here at Trinity, it's a very simple process because once we broadcast the need for additional people to train to be Stephen ministers, we get a response of maybe 10 to 12 each time, and every one of them in some way tells me that they feel God led them to get themselves involved.
What kind of training is there that's offered?
We train people in 10 hour-and-a-half sessions covering everything from how to talk to people, how to be good listeners, which is the essential part, how to pray with them out loud, how to care for them, how to offer them additional community and church resources that could help them. It's pretty comprehensive.
But they're not going in blind. In other words,
Oh,
it's
no.
not like, hey, you're Stephen. Okay, here's your first assignment. Go.
No. We always identify the need. For example, the last person I assigned a care receiver, I told this Stephen minister that the care receiver was having a big issue with the death of a granddaughter. And that's all he needed to know, really. Some are more complicated, but basically we give them fodder for their cannon.
Let me open it up to the back row here, because I'm curious. We're talking about how people become Stephen ministers, and obviously everybody back there has felt the call to become a Stephen minister. Some of you, after realizing this is part of the job description, might be leaving after today. So hopefully not. Sorry, Bill, if they do. But just remember, if this is a stressful situation for you, Bill's the one that recruited you, not me. So just curious. Anybody can speak up. What is it? I'm curious. What is it that led you to decide that you felt you were being called to be Stephen ministers?
Well, for me personally, it was being able to reach out and help someone in a Christian manner, not just being there as a friend, knowing that God goes with me in every situation.
And you get to be God to those people.
Well,
bring in that.
I get to bring.
That sounded wrong, really. You know what I meant, though,
yes,
right?
Yes. I'm able to bring God into the situation and allow them to know that He's there for them in all of their daily life and all of their situations, whether it be negative or positive.
You said it much better than me. That's what I meant. So we'll edit that out later. What we're going to do is going to edit out my question to substitute your voice over my mouth talking so I sound better. Somebody else. What led you to it?
I had back surgery and I was laid up for a few months. And while I wasn't technically on the roles as a care receiver, I was one of the Stephen ministers because of either he knew what I was going through or just because a friend stopped by the house for a couple, 3 or 4 times. And it was very nice. It was uplifting. And as my recovery went along the ways, we started talking, and he talked me back to Stephen ministry. He thought I would be a good candidate for it, and thought about it for a couple months, and then he told me there was a training session started, so I figured, you know what, it's time to give back what was given to me. You know, if you hold it to yourself, it's just something that you got, but if you give it to someone else, then it's a gift. So I became a care minister to try to give back a little bit of what was given to me.
Anybody else want to share their story?
Yeah. 26 years ago this month, my mother passed away, and I had been her caregiver for 4 months, 24 hours a day. And she had moved back here after she became a widow, and that was 17 years before that. And once she died, my daughter had gone off to college, the other daughter had moved out. I felt like I had more time to give service helping others. So my husband and I decided, when they talked about Stephen ministry in December 1992, they were going to have a class in January 1993. So we started going to the class, and at that time, you had to have 50 hours of training, which was a lot. But the thing I learned most from that was you learn to listen. And one of our daughters is a prodigal daughter. And I learned to keep my mouth closed and just listen for a change, and our relationship became better. Not overnight, but it helped me personally.
Did anybody else find that? I'm curious that after becoming a Stephen minister, that you realized some of the training and some of the things you learned to become a Stephen minister carried over into other aspects of your life and were beneficial to other aspects of your life. Anybody else notice that?
I found that the training that we received, I can use just about any time off.
Excellent. And I'm curious if anybody was anybody worried when you decided, when you became a Stephen minister, did you have some butterflies going on in your stomach? Like, oh my gosh, what did I just commit to?
When I received my first care receiver, I got it from Bill. My first call was to Tom Reed, and my first question was, what do I do? How do you initiate? And I can remember what he
And
told
Tom
me.
said, I don't know. I asked Bill. No.
He said, you just need to listen, and you'll find out which direction it's going to go. He said, and once you get flowing, that tells you how to do things. And my first 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, it went pretty well. And then they went away for about 3 weeks. And I got a phone call from my care receiver's spouse. And we set up a date for the next one because my care receiver doesn't do a phone. And when I got there, she opened the door, let me in, and she said, he really missed those 2 weeks when we were away. He said he so looks forward to our meeting. And that just let me know that I must be doing what I'm supposed to do.
And that one thing that I've heard so far from just about everybody that's spoken is listening. And isn't that something that I think that even if somebody's watching the show right now and they're not involved in Stephen ministry, their church doesn't have a Stephen ministry, and even if they don't start a Stephen ministry, which I think would be beneficial, I think we'd all recommend that. But just learning that lesson, if nothing else, listening to people, that in and of itself can help us as Christians minister to so many people in need. Wouldn't you agree? So,
One other thing is that what you talk about is confidential.
Yeah, and that's important.
Everything you talk about with your care receiver is confidential.
Yeah, and that's important. I mean, obviously, my other job, I work as a lawyer, and so I try to, when I'm meeting with new clients, I got to try and kind of stress that, and I can only imagine infinitely more so when you're dealing with someone walking through this type of journey, that they've got to be comfortable with you and know that you're not going to be disclosing it to other people and talk to other people about it. So,
I'll say one more thing, Ken,
yeah, go ahead.
About our ministry. It's not just for here at Trinity, because my care receiver, even though you're a Christian, they attend a church that does not have Stephen ministry. Mm-hmm. And they were very appreciative that we did. And I think eventually I'm going to broach the subject of maybe talking to or having our leaders talk to some people at their church to create a ministry. Because it's not something that's available at their church, and it's not a small congregation.
Well, I think that's an important lesson for Christians all over the place to learn, is that, yes, part of a church's job is to take care of its congregation. I don't want to diminish that. But part of a church's job is also to reach beyond the walls of their own building and their own people. And speaking of that, we've got another ministry that is somewhat affiliated that's doing precisely that. And that's the Heart Ministry. And we've got our two folks over here, our representatives of Heart Ministry on the end, Tom Reed and Jan McMillen. And I'm going to turn things over to them with a few questions here in a second. But first, what I want to do is we created about a 2-minute promotional video for the Heart Ministry that can give us at least a general introduction to it, and then we'll kind of get down to the nitty-gritty and some of the specifics, okay? So why don't we go ahead and watch that video real quick.
Heart Ministry is a new resource team being provided by Trinity to enhance spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical support for people suffering from various illnesses, along with their families and their caregivers. Heart is your health, education, advocacy, response team. This ministry assists with all types of health issues, whether they be spiritual, emotional, mental, or physical. The education we provide includes not only information about health conditions, but we also help direct clients toward resources that they may not even know exist to help them in their journey. For advocacy, the Heart Ministry helps patients, families, and caregivers speak and fight for their medical rights to receive care, medications, medical equipment, and to help them navigate the healthcare system. It is our pledge to respond to the needs and requests of patients and their families and caregivers in a very timely fashion. Heart Ministry leaders Jan McMillen and Tom Reed are always available to respond to these emergency needs. The Heart Ministry services are provided in a variety of ways, including support groups, individual sessions, or personal visitation by Stephen ministers, pastors, or Heart Ministry leaders. We can give you information on available resources, accompany you to medical appointments, provide education about your medical status, and most of all, encourage people to utilize all that the ministry has to offer. The most important step is often to simply realize that it's okay to ask for help. To speak with one of our Heart Ministry leaders, contact Jan McMillen or Tom Reed at 410-679-4000, extension 129, or simply email them at the address on the screen. It's not a hard thing, it's a heart thing.
And I'm not saying who actually, made that video, but whoever it was just a master of video production, I must say. With some help from his wife. I got to make sure I say that because she's behind the camera and she can turn my camera off. So Hartman, like I kind of said before we started watching the video, that this is not something that's just limited to people here at Trinity. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, so in your own words, tell us a little bit about what Heart Ministry is and what the inspiration was for it.
Heart Ministry was just formed recently over, I'd say probably in the last 3 months. It came about through a general conversation with Pastor Jay Jackson and with Mark Kogar. At that time, we were updating the two of them on the status of our Cancer Companion Ministry, which Jane and I formed over a year ago. And during that conversation, Pastor Jay was the one who actually inspired us to have the Heart Ministry. It's his concept to have a ministry that is over all the different support ministries here at Trinity. So basically, Stephen Ministry is one of our major ministries here at Trinity that supports the entire congregation. And as Barry said, we also go outside that in the church here. We are also going to be supporting such activities as employment, grief, depression, dementia, heart disease, addiction, and anything that we can do to help the congregation through whatever struggle they are. And our key support group is going to be the Stephen ministers. We're in the process right now of training them to be members of the Heart Ministry in a little deeper way.
The Heart Ministry is a large, we call it umbrella ministry, and we are going to be over things like Stephen Ministry, blood drives, the medical support team that is in the congregation during worship services, support groups, individual one-on-one support groups. But basically, Heart is our healthcare ministry. We provide education, advocacy, support, and we call ourselves the response team, because when people have a need, we're here to respond to their need, whether it's researching an illness or a medication, supporting them, possibly getting them a ride to a doctor's appointment, or going with them as an extra set of ears and taking notes for them. Because a lot of times when you go in and you get that diagnosis of, say, cancer, after you hear that word, your ears just sort of shut down, your brain shuts down. So it's important to have someone there that can help you and write down notes so you actually know what's going on when you go home and kind of review the doctor's appointment.
Now, you've got a background in the healthcare field of some sort. Is that correct, Jan?
Yes, I worked in radiation oncology for over 30 years.
All right. So you know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Somewhat.
Tom, you've been a Stephen minister for how long now?
I've been a Stephen minister for the last 8 years.
So, I mean, not the REHrig still have you. But
yeah,
I don't think you catch up. I don't think that's how it works. So.
But I was blessed because I was trained by Bill. And I contribute whatever I do to Bill because he gave the best training I could possibly have.
Yeah, that's so sweet. Look, he's saying something nice. He's on camera now. Wait till he's off camera.
I owe him some money.
So let me ask you this. I don't want to say it's obvious, Jan, but you've got a background in healthcare, so the connection between what would have led you into the site ministry, I guess we can kind of see that. Tom, what led you to decide to want to do heart ministry other than Jan twisting your arm?
Well, no, it wasn't Jan twisted my arm. We literally pretty much fell into it as we had discussions with Pastor Jay. It all surrounded around Stephen Ministry and Cancer Companion. They're all support ministries for whatever may be going on in a person's life. And that's what we're here to support. And we want to take on that role to be able to give whatever we can to make the people in this congregation and outside this congregation. We've been blessed to be able to already connect with another church here in Harford County who wants our support also. So we're going to be working with that church to help their folks as well as our own.
I want to make sure that's clear out there. Like I said, the get-go, that this is not a ministry that we're setting up just. I mean, we certainly are going to be serving those here that are members of Trinity, but this is a ministry for the surrounding community. Just like we've said, you got some Stephen ministers that we're having care receivers that don't necessarily come here to Trinity, because that's not the point. It is important for a church to serve its congregation, but it's also important to serve the community. So if there's anybody out there, we're in Joppa, Maryland, Harford County, Maryland. If you're in the Joppa, Maryland area or in that vicinity, and you feel that you might need the services of something like Heart, of something like Stephen Ministry, we're going to go ahead and put their contact information here on the screen so that you know how to get in touch with either one of those ministries. Now, let me ask you this. I'm just kind of curious how this works. Because Stephen Ministry, some of the Heart services are going to be administered through Stephen Ministries. Is that correct?
Right.
Yeah.
So, but then also Heart's going to include more than that.
Yes.
So if somebody were to contact Stephen Ministry and you're talking to somebody and you realize, oh, wait a minute, I think they might need a little bit more than what we have to offer, you can refer them to them.
Well, yes. If we have a potential care receiver that has some specific issues where knowledge of a factual nature is necessary, we can refer them to Tom and Jan for that part of it, although the Stephen ministers would still support them emotionally and spiritually as they walk through the details. They're provided by them.
That's the advantage to having everything under one roof, obviously, so to speak. So basically, I guess I'm just telling this to people, so don't worry if, we put all the contact information on the screen. If you don't worry about, oh, wait, should I be contacting Tom and Jan? Should I be contacting Bill and Brenda? What should I be doing here? If you contact the wrong person, so to speak, there is no wrong person to contact.
No wrong person.
We can get in touch with everybody. So people in the front row, you're done. I'm going to open it up one last time for people in the back row. If there's anything that you wanted to mention about your particular ministry, about highlighting anything that you've heard here today that you haven't gotten to add, now's your time, because once I sign off, you can't interrupt me. So anything?
I would just like to say that being a Stephen minister is really a warm experience for me personally, and that while the purpose of going out to see my care receivers is to help them, that so much of it just comes back to you as a true blessing.
Well, thank you. Everybody say ditto?
Yes.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody here. And one thing I didn't mention that I got to mention, we're not going to sing or anything, but it's Stephen Ministry's 25th birthday or anniversary here. We're celebrating 25 years of Stephen Ministry, and we're celebrating 0 of Heart. Heart's just getting kicked off, right?
But 2 days.
2 days. 2 days.
We're official 2 days.
So, but for those behind the Heart Ministry, thank you. That's a vision that's being fulfilled. That's brilliant. And for those of you involved in Stephen Ministry, especially those of you, I'm looking at the Rehrigs now, involved in it for the past 25 years, thank you very much for making this a successful ministry. You guys do an awful lot of good, and I admire every single one of you. So, and thank you all for watching. If you did like the show, do me a favor. Go ahead and click the like button. That's a thumbs up button right here on the YouTube page. Also, share this video, especially if you're in our local area. We want to let as many people know that these ministries are available. Again, you do not need to be a member of Trinity to partake. We are here for you. So please share this video, let other people know about it, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got a lot more than Trinity Talk Live on this YouTube channel. We got 7 regular programs that we're putting up there. So certainly there's something that's going to appeal to you and hopefully appeal to others as well. Give us a like on our Facebook page. That's a Trinity Joppa channel Facebook page. You can get behind the scenes info on there, what we got coming up. And you also give us feedback on anything that you liked, didn't like, want to see coming in the future. We are more than happy to hear it. So thank you once again to everybody who was on the show. Normally I thank my guests individually. I'm not doing that because there's too many of you. We'd be here for another 20 minutes. So just thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. And thank you all for watching, and God bless.
In your word we will follow.